Okay, everybody out there, it's time once again for 58 minutes worth of the Midnight Skeptic. And here we go. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not, repeat, not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, today is March 21st of the year 2024. It's a Thursday, and it's almost 1:45 in the afternoon. And this will be broadcast locally and worldwide at kpca.fm, very locally, 103.3 FM. If you people out there still have radios that get FM stations, a lot of you do. And okay, and this will be up on YouTube as soon as I get done with this and download it to YouTube. A plea to all YouTube watchers and KPCA listeners who are not confirmed leftist progressive, such as I am, please, 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 just be kind to everyone, even MAGA heads. Don't be like GOP MAGA heads if you can't be woke, which I consider myself to be, and most progressives, I would argue, are woke, as it has been used and misused by Republicans. Okay, let people be who they want to be, as long as they're not hurting anyone else. Don't be a cruel Christian. The mission statement of the Midnight Skeptic is to rid this nation of all GOP Republican MAGA heads. And I'm doing it one broadcast at a time, one broadcast per week, locally on FM station 103.3 FM, and worldwide kpca.fm, and on YouTube. I'm there, type in the Midnight Skeptic and I will come up. Okay. Shout outs. Okay. I'm kind of expanding the shout outs to let my listeners and YouTubers out there know who does what on these shout outs. Okay. First, I always start with this, and I am always going to start with this. Project Censored. Just type in Project Censored and sign up for their newsletter. Or order, when you get to their website, State of the Free Press 2024, their annual book that publishes the stories, and this is a quote, ignored or obscured by the news establishment. Mickey Huff, Nolan Higdon, and Andy Lee Roth are the guiding lights of Project Censored. They are all professors at different colleges. Mickey Huff is a part-time history professor at Diablo Valley College here in the Bay Area. John Crowley at Aquas Cafe in Petaluma, and they're located over near the Foundry Wharf on H Street. go to their calendar of events. And for music and assorted merriment, and a number of nonprofits and art collectives gather there for their meetings, and professional groups meet there, I think once a month. There's an event called Drinks with Shrinks, and all the therapists around Petaluma and maybe points beyond gather there to schmooze in the best sense of that word and trade secrets. Okay. And they have good light cuisine there and beer on tap. Okay, Tom Gaffey and the Phoenix Theater, which is an all-ages nightclub and is an afternoon gathering place for quote-unquote alternative teens. And go to the Phoenix Theater schedule online for their music and concert schedule. Their musical groups lean toward grunge and metal and alternative music. They are at 201 Washington Street off of Keller here in Petaluma. Shout out to Rabbi Ted Feldman, who retired a few years ago from B'nai Israel Jewish Center. He has called me his favorite pagan, and I accept that term proudly. Art Kuznets, who used to go, or maybe still does, go to B'nai Israel Temple downtown. Okay. Nariman. He is the founder and owner of Zandex Semiconductor here in Petaluma. Happy Persian New Year's a couple of days ago. Shout outs from the previous shows locally. Okay. Tim Conrad, great photographer. Tom and Nancy Throw, Kevin and Lori, Dave and Rosita Takach in Sacramento, Rich and Kathy Berger in Sebastopol, Dennis and Megan in Tiburon. Megan works for the city of Tiburon. Dennis is the IT guy for the Miller Creek School District. Excellent computer tech. Yvonne and Rick in San Francisco, Stan and Kathy in Pacifica, Aunt Jackie and her two daughters, Samantha and Melanie. Hope you guys are doing well. My brother Brandon and Mina in Arizona, and their daughter Andrea, a nurse in the Santan Valley area, and her retired Marine Corps husband Tim, and their 3 young kids. Boys, all of them. They're growing up fast. The Snake Lady in Patagonia, Arizona, Karina Hilliard, who I met at a Skeptics conference down in Las Vegas about 5 years ago, I think, and I haven't been in contact with her much after that. We exchanged a few emails, but assuming she's still an animal control officer down in Patagonia, if you've got a snake curled up in your kitchen or some other warm place in your house, call Karina. She's the snake removal technician. In Arkansas, Shannon Reed, who's in real estate in Arkansas and has taken up, once again, massage therapy. She was, before she moved to Arkansas, she was a massage therapist here at the Fairmont Hotel and Spa over in Sonoma, which is just over the hills from Petaluma here. Okay. Florida, Nelson and Alice Slidell, and Amelia Beamer. Check her out on YouTube via Locus Magazine, Locus. They are just across the bay in Oakland, and they review books of the horror, fantasy and science fiction genres. And Amelia Beamer will tell you on her YouTube or their website, YouTube, of what books they're reviewing in this month's edition of Locus. Okay. Dr. Day, going up the coast from Florida to North Carolina, the Raleigh-Durham area, retired pulmonary doctor and medical consultant who happens to be the world's finest pulmonary doctor. He's now taking up art, and I think he might still be in Chicago now displaying his work. But go to his website, davidrubinpainting.org. I think it's .org. Or try .com if the other one doesn't work. But he has a very unique take on reality, as most artists do. Okay. And all the way up to Long Island, Geraldine Goldfinger. And back over to the West Coast here, the Sonora Gang, Robert Finnegan, Bob Fisher, and his two children, Martha and Brad, and Darrell Larson, our high school bronc rider way back in the day, Judy May, Lynn Quayle, Kathy Francis, John Gleason up in Twain Harte, and his two daughters, Jennifer and Tiffany, and all the way down in Mexico City, Rosamalia Lopez Negrete. Now, to get to the meat of this episode of the Midnight Skeptic. I forgot 2 shout-outs. Yeah, geez. I wrote little notes off in the margin, and I missed them. Sorry about that. Rob Tomaszewski, the station manager at KPCA LP. The LP stands for low power, which KPCA is. Now, good man, and he keeps this radio station flowing. And also, Renee Ho. She was the founder of Amor para Todos here in Petaluma. And it was founded in 2019, and it is an advocacy group for the LGBTQ community here in Petaluma. And I would encourage local people, anyway, to look her up and look up APT, Amor para Todos. That means love for all, which is, I doubt if any Republicans would be in favor of that group. Okay, I'm being snarky, as I am wont to do. Okay, danger in our military. This is an article I got this information from. It's written by Sarah Muehlbarger. She's a sophomore law student at New York University, NYU. And she blows the whistles on Officers Christian Fellowship, which is an organization within our military, not just the Army or the Air Force or the Navy, but all branches. And their mission statement is to, are you ready for this? Create a spiritually transformed U.S. military with ambassadors for Christ in uniform, empowered by the Holy Spirit. And they aren't the only organization of Christians within our military. Okay, my notes are, again, a bit jumbled. Officers Christian Fellowship's vision is the military community positively impacted through Christ-like leaders and biblical fellowship in faith, family, and professionalism? And in our military, the Air Force Academy back in Colorado, I think it's in Boulder, Colorado. Anyway, they are essentially Christian fundamentalists' own Air Force. They are training Air Force officers to be Christ-like in their leadership. Oh, boy. We ought to make sure that no cadets, or for that matter, enlisted personnel, are kind of forced to attend services or to profess their belief in Jesus. There has been lawsuits brought against these organizations and the United States Air Force Academy in general by non-Christians, specifically Jewish officers. And what is... Okay. Again, I apologize. My notes are... Okay. I've listed this under bad news. Operating throughout our military are a number of fundamentalist Christian parachurch military ministries. The largest is the Campus Crusade for Christ. They're infesting other college campuses, not just the military. The Navigators, which is a Christian group, I guess, and the Officers Christian Fellowship. Those are three others. The common goal is to transform young recruits and officers into government-paid missionaries. The Air Force Academy is the worst of the worst hotbed of this Christian fight. Non-Christians are not welcome. And there's an organization... Oh, man, I didn't write it down. Okay, within the military, that military personnel can bring to their defense and would be an advocate for them being non-Christians. Damn it. Okay, next week's show, I will give you the name of that outfit that if you're in the military, you can go to them and they will be an advocate for your non-Christian beliefs of any kind. Whether you're just not a Christian, you're Muslim or Jewish or atheist or agnostic, you can go to them if you feel like you're being put upon, which is what Christians are all about, putting on people. Okay, good news. I mentioned this 2 shows ago, but here's an update. Liberty University, founded by the evangelist Jerry Falwell, in Lynchburg, Virginia in 1971, hit with a record fine by the Federal Department of Education. And what were they fined for? Okay. They were improperly handling, in fact, they were not handling, reports of sexual assaults and other campus safety issues. Universities are required by law to support victims of violence, not just sexual violence, but other kinds of violence. I guess, Christian guys most of the violence that they perpetrate are sexual violence. The Department of Education found that Liberty had, quote, fundamentally failed to do so, and assault victims, get this, were punished for violating the student code of conduct, unquote. The code is to maintain silence. The assailants were left unpunished. A ProPublica investigative report detailed how Liberty discouraged and dismissed women who came forward to report being raped. Okay, good Christian guys who are horny. This isn't unique to Liberty University by any means. I've detailed how the Southern Baptist Convention was all in a underwear tightening episode of trying to hide sexual assaults out of their ranks. As you know, they aren't as bad as Catholic priests, though. They tend to concentrate on kids. Okay. The ProPublica investigative report detailed how Liberty discouraged and dismissed women who came forward to report being raped. The women violated, quote unquote, the Liberty Way code of conduct. In other words, don't say anything about being raped because that would look poorly upon Liberty University. $14 million is the fine levied against Liberty University, and a review of the Clery Act. That's capital C-L-E-R-Y. And that is under U.S. Code number 1092, which is disclosure of campus security policy to all incoming students and their parents. Okay. Security policy and campus crime statistics act. Okay. That's what the Clery Act is all about. And Jean Cleary was raped and murdered in her dorm at Lehigh University in 1986. Her parents helped push through the Clery Act in 1990. Her rapist is currently serving a life sentence. Good. Okay. Lehigh University, 86. All right. The Clery Act. Well, Liberty University has to review the Clery Act, crime statistics and so on with all incoming students now. Okay, bad news. Religious hate. The Indian government, India, the country, has announced it will begin enforcing a quote-unquote citizenship law. This law grants citizenship to persecuted Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists, Parsis, and Christians from nearby countries. Pointedly, Muslims are excluded from the citizenship law. I had to look up because I had not heard of Parsis, capital P-A-R-S-E-E-S. And they are adherents of Zoroastrianism. And I was not fully aware that there were still a lot of people who are Zoroastrians on this planet, but there are. And Zoroastrians who fled to India from Muslim persecution in Persia in the 7th and 8th centuries. That's when the expansion of the Islamic religion was taking place all over the Middle East and North Africa, the 7th and 8th centuries. The conversion by force, meaning believe or we'll kill you. And so the Zoroastrians fled to India, and they are still there. There are about 70,000 Zoroastrians in India. There are about 4.5 million Jains, capital Jains, in India, which amounts to 0.8% of the population. Jains are the most educated and generally the wealthiest of the religious groups that I just mentioned. According to Jains, every soul has the potential to become an arihant, Arihant. What does that mean? A soul which, Soul, a soul which destroys all kashayas, okay, Kashayas, which is inner, meaning inside your psyche, inner enemies like anger, ego, deception, and greed, and is responsible for the perpetuation of ignorance. Ridding yourself of these makes you an arihant. Okay? Now, that kind of goes in line with a quote from the Dalai Lama that I say now and then, or he says it, and I use it on my show now and then. Anger is the ultimate destroyer of your own peace of mind. The Dalai Lama said that. And one of the first things that an arihant has to get rid of from his soul is anger. I kind of agree with that. Okay, I don't claim to be a potential arihant, but I like to try in my own unique Midnight Skeptic sort of way to get rid of anger, ego, deception, and greed. I'm certainly not greedy. What I have is what I have. Okay. The Indian Parliament passed this law in 2019, but nationwide violent protests by Muslims ensued because they were left off and I guess could not become citizens of India, real citizens. The protests were deadly, as they always are in India, and scores of Muslims have been lynched for eating beef, which cows are considered holy animals by Hindus, and they dislike Muslims who eat beef, or anybody else that eats beef for that matter. But that's the violence that's taking place in India. Okay, new topic. Bad news. Let me check to see. Yeah, it's been about a half hour. Okay, bad news. Ralph Reed, his Faith and Freedom organization, has collected $62 million to get out the fundamentalist vote for the orange sociopathic bloat bag in 2024 election. The money will go to registering and turning out evangelical voters, texting and calling supporters, and door knocking and distributing 30 million pieces of literature in 125,000 churches, mainly in battleground states. So I've said before on other shows that I'm kind of optimistic about the 2024 election coming up. I just can't see the orange sociopathic bloat bag winning the presidency. It could happen, but I'm optimistic that it won't happen. The orange sociopathic bloat bag has his 25 or 30% hardcore ignorant MAGA heads that will always vote for him, no matter what, no matter how ignorant and anyway, okay, no matter what, they'll vote for him. Okay, but I think that can be overcome with a Democratic voter turnout, plus the independents who are intelligent coming out, and a goodly portion of Republicans who are never Trumpers and thinking Republicans, and there are such a thing as that. Okay. Bad news. New topic now. Bad news. A 2020 article on August 18th in the New York Times tells of a GOP and Senate intelligence panel, and they detailed ties between the 2016 Orange Sociopathic Bloat Bag campaign and Russia. Now, I know this is kind of like old news. Who cares about the 2016 presidential election anymore? And why are we, or why am I, raking over the coals of a disappointing election? The orange sociopathic bloat bag and Hillary Clinton. And I'm not a really big fan of Hillary Clinton, but I think not a lot, but I think sometimes about how this country would be now if she had won the election, and the orange sociopathic bloat bag would be just a bad memory. Okay? So, Russian interference in our election is a real thing. Now, how many votes did the Russian interference program, how many votes did they sway to the orange sociopathic bloat bag? Well, we can never know that. But I imagine there were a few. Was it enough to turn the election to the orange sociopathic bloat bag and the battleground states, so to speak? We'll never know. But history is what history is. Okay. I'm off my notes, of course. Okay, this article in the New York Times was written by Mark Mazzotti, capital Mazzotti. Google it if you want some revelations. Okay. My notes again. Again, it was August 18th of 2020. I've never been a fan of Julian Assange, and certainly an avid hater of the orange sociopathic bloat bag and his minions, particularly Roger Stone. Of course, Assange and Stone both deny any coordination to influence the 2016 U.S. election. To quote Stone on August 8th of 2016 at the GOP Southwest Broward County GOP organization, and this is a quote, he said it, "I actually have communicated with Assange," unquote. Going on, "I believe the next tranche of his documents pertain to the Clinton Foundation, but there's no telling what the October surprise will be." Every now and then you'll hear some GOP jerk say, "Well, what about Hillary's emails?" That's as relevant as Biden's laptop. Okay, it has zero relevance to anything, really. I'm no fan of Hillary Clinton either, but this country would now be in a much better place if she would have won in 2016. And there's no way to tell how many voters were swayed by Russiagate, Stonegate, Assangegate, Hillary's emails gate. And Julian Assange, I don't consider, despite what oh geez, these brain freezes are so annoying. Despite what Project Censored says, I do not consider Julian Assange a journalist. He and WikiLeaks is a non-state, hostile intelligence service. He collects things and disseminates them as he sees fit, whether he wants to harm or support some politician in some country, mainly the U.S., as he sees fit. But I don't think that Julian Assange has himself really written journalistic pieces. Okay. All right. Enough of Julian Assange. I got a sip here. That was the last sip of my morning coffee. Okay. Bad news for women. The religion of mutilating women strikes again. I'm talking about Islam. And I am not Islamophobic. They are as bad a religion as any other religion, in my opinion. But there are things about the Islamic faith, according to some imams, that just need to be pointed out. And I've said before that all religions are misogynistic. And Islam may be the worst of the worst in that regard. Gambia, the little country in West Africa, their top Islamic body has called female genital mutilation, quote unquote, one of the virtues of Islam. And it was an imam that said this, okay? Gambia, a Muslim majority, small West African country, has banned female genital cutting, is what they call it, for a number of years. Just like other African countries have laws on their books banning female genital cutting. I call it mutilation, and it is. Okay, it's been banned in Gambia for a number of years. Now, their parliament is considering a bill to revoke the ban on female genital cutting. An imam claims that it is a quote unquote religious obligation. Mm. I hope that if this bill goes through their parliamentary committees and is signed, I don't know how bills become law in Gambia, but if it does become law, I hope that the United States and other countries cut off all aid to that country and tell them why we're doing it. Mm. Okay. Good news. Good news. Good environmental news. Glacier, which is a company, capital GLACIER, an AI, artificial intelligence powered recycling robot company here in the Bay Area, is speeding up the sorting process. Rebecca Hu, capital HU, is the founder of the company in San Francisco about 5 years ago. Amazon, among other companies, are using Glacier and in their semi-recycling efforts, and they have just secured, they, meaning Glacier, has just secured $7.7 million from New Enterprise Associates and Amazon's Climate Pledge Fund to bring more Glacier machines to other recycling companies. I saw this on a news program, and it's quite fascinating how their cameras on the Glacier machine look at a conveyor belt of recyclables, and via AI can tell which are recyclable and which are not, and they differentiate between plastic bottles, aluminum bottles, plastic wrapping, cardboard trash, and these little suction cups pick them up and swing around and deposit them in the proper container to be hauled off to real recycling centers. Okay, that is good news. And I will continue to bring good news to all of you YouTubers and KPCA FM listeners as I find them. Okay. Here is a book recommendation. It's called There by Tommy Orange. And this is his debut novel and won a gold medal for first fiction by the California Book Awards. Tommy Orange is a Cheyenne and Arapaho Native American, and the novel takes place in Oakland, California, right across the bay, and culminates in a powwow in Oakland, at the Oakland Coliseum specifically. This novel has resonated. How I came to hear about it, I have not read the novel yet. I plan to. It resonated with a group of Bronx, New York, high school students and their English teacher in their senior English class. And it turned a group of these students, in fact, most of these students, into avid readers of fiction, of novels. And if Tommy Orange, through his writing, can do that, then I hope that it resonates with other high school students. And I intend to get the book, but I recommend that my YouTubers and KPCA-FM listeners, go out and get this book and judge for yourself. There. 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 And this is Tommy Orange's debut novel. And he looks to be in his early 30s, mid-30s maybe. Okay. Go out and get his book. Okay. Good news for mixed political economy nations, which a lot of European nations and other countries around the world, in fact, are. This country will never introduce real socialistic programs because, well, we're infested with Republicans in our government, okay? In fact, we do have some socialistic programs in this country. Social Security, for one, our military, our post office, our governmentally run Medicare, things like that. We do have some socialist programs, but Republicans fight it every inch of the way, and in fact, they are in favor of doing away with them or privatizing them. But anyway, most of the countries of the world are have a political economy that is at least partially socialist. Okay, now, the reason I bring this up is Finland is once again tops on the Global Happiness Index. This is an annual report about the world's happiest countries. And the top 10 countries are mostly Nordic countries. The U.S. has dropped down to number 23 on this list. We used to be at least 9 or 10 until now. The Midnight Skeptic attributes this to there being too many Republicans running around. I'm only half joking. Seriously, once the 2024 election is over and Democrats and Joe Biden are once again running the good old US of A, we'll be right back on the happiness track. Okay, seriously, Republicans are an impediment to this country's genuine happiness. And along with not electing Republicans to any office, we ought to try to get rid of Fox News or OAN or what's the other one? News something. Those right-wing sites that just people, especially in the Midwest and the South, just worship and listen to ad nauseum and get all their opinions from them. Okay. Good and bad news. Indiana's House Bill 1137 was signed into law, but the school chaplains provisions in the original bill was removed. Okay, which in that part of the bill said that schools could hire Christian chaplains to be school counselors. Now, if my listeners don't see that as bad news already, then I haven't been doing my job. Christians, especially of the right-wing fundamentalist evangelical bent, keep continuously trying to shove Christianity down our throats or sneak Christianity into our public institutions. They succeeded in putting "In God We Trust" on our spending money, and, putting crosses where they can be seen. Christians are sneaky that way. They try to, sneak crosses into potential viewing places where people will see a cross and hopefully be converted. Okay, speaking of crazy Christians, Tommy Tuberville, who's a Republican senator from Alabama, he's out west stumping for GOP Senate candidate Trent Staggs in Utah. He's running for the seat once held by Mitt Romney. And this is a quote from Tommy Tuberville. Quote, they've basically taken God out of everything that we're doing. I don't know any other way to express it other than it's some kind of cult that they're trying to push on our kids and all Americans. We have got to get back to our Christian values. Staggs is endorsed, of course, by Carrie Lake, who's running for the Senate seat in Arizona. And she still thinks of herself as the duly elected governor of Arizona. Okay. Now, this pushing this, we all know who they mean by they. They are pushing non-belief in Christian values onto our kids. Well, Indiana's House Bill 1137, that in its original form would have hired Christian counselors in high schools. It's one side pushing against the other side who's resisting. Christians versus every other sensible person. Okay. Bad news. A Missouri House committee passes a bill allowing naturopathic doctors to get licensed in their state. Please, all my listeners and YouTube watchers, Google Britt Hermes, a former naturopath. She has, I met her very briefly at a skeptics conference about the same time that I met, brain freezes. The snake lady. I met them at the same outfit, but Britt Hermes goes around giving speeches and talking out against the licensing of naturopaths, which is a non-scientific medical practice. And she went through a naturopathic medical regimen at some naturopathic college, and she saw through it after she got out and began her practice. Now she's thoroughly convinced that scientifically based medicine is really the way to go, as do I. Okay, good news. In San Jose, at Mata Vista High School, Niku Sedarat, okay, she's a senior. Her last name is Sedarat, and she is concurrently enrolled in Stanford as a psych student. And she is passionate about psychology and has started a multi-school organization called Unite. I'll spell it for you. Capital UNITE, and the E has a little accent mark over it. And it's a peer counseling club as a place kids can go to be listened to, and it's an advocacy group. And Goodness knows our high school kids need a place to go to where they can be heard, and somebody who knows how to advocate for their needs. Okay, so that's the good news to end the show on. And I'm going to play my play out music. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. Okay, go out there and please, please, please pet your cats. And if you think critically and logically, I don't have any worries that any of you will become Christians. Okay, until next week, this is the Midnight Skeptic signing off again. So enough is enough for 1 week. See you guys next week.